Now, I assume most of you have seen the keynote this morning that went really in depth into AI, Gen AI and all that kind of stuff, but also how important data is. So this morning at the first sessions, we actually have Accenture talking around that data component. So with that, I welcome Shah from Accenture to put up the panel. Thank you.
Thanks, Siri. Thanks, guys. Good morning, Sudesh Shah. I lead the Accenture AWS business group, and today we're here to talk to you about data in the era of Gen AI. I'm going to introduce the panel members very quickly. We've got myself, I lead the Accenture AWS business group. We've got Amit Bansal, our global lead for data and AI. He'll be actually leading a panel, and we've got some of our very important customers with us today. Melanie van der Merwe. She's our executive GM and IT and digital for TPG Telecom. We also have Ram Kalyasundaram. He's from Lion and he's the Chief Digital Officer. We've also got Jen Jackson from our global team, the Accenture global team. She's our global lead for the AABG business group, the Accenture AWS business group. Now, very quickly, I'll tell you about the Accenture AWS business group. We're a part of Accenture that's focused on working with our customers on total enterprise reinvention. And this is building technology on AWS to help our customers really transform and modernize the way they operate. In Australia, we've got about 1,200 people who are focused and dedicated in this group, around about 250 professional certified AWS talent of architects and engineers to help you on your data migration, data modernization, looking at some of the most complex migrations from, say, mainframe onto AWS. And this is the team really who will be helping our clients really transform. Now, without any ado, I'm going to hand over to Amit Bansal, our global data lead. Thanks, Amit.
Thank you, Sudesh. Good morning, everyone. As Sudesh mentioned, I lead our global data practice, and I'm delighted to talk to you about data in the era of generative AI. I'm sure in the keynote, all you would have heard was generative AI. We've been hearing only about generative AI for the last 18 months. So I'm going to talk to you about why data is important in the era of generative AI. So let's start. First thing I'm going to call out is you need to think about, when you're thinking about generative AI, to think about how generative AI is changing your data. And I'm going to call out 8 things you should know, whether you're a CEO, CIO, or CDO in an organization. These are the 8 things you should be aware of that impact your generative AI projects and how it impacts data. The first thing is data is your proprietary advantage. So you've got to really think about how you actually use that data, and I'll talk about that throughout the presentation. The other big change is unstructured data is now become the first class citizen. We've spent years building data pipelines around transactional data, right? And the shift has come to unstructured data. Also, the key thing is generative AI now helps you be really personalized. So now it gives the opportunity to take data and even further hyper-personalize the experience you give to your employees and your customers. One of the things that we are seeing is we all had silos of data that we've tried to consolidate, but it was still very hard to give that same view across the business. Now with generative AI, you can give that same information and make that consistently available throughout the organization. So it's completely changed how you run your business. One of the other things is with Gen AI and data, you can flatten the expertise curve. What I mean is a lot of that corporate knowledge sits in people who've been in the organization for a very long time. Now with data, and you'll be able to extract that data and make that available in generative AI, you can actually make that information and that generation knowledge available to all your staff. It completely changes the expertise you need in your business. Right? Gen AI also, in the last 18 months, has let us be very scrappy in how we use data and what we do, right? You've seen lots of incidents of organizations where they've put data in the public domain, trying to train models, etc. Right? So it completely changes the way you think about data and how you govern data, right? Data is now going to hold you accountable, right, as soon as you start experimenting with GenAI. You also need to think about, as you drive this and make data available to your GenAI engines, that means data is available everywhere in your organization. So you need to manage how you access that data, how you use that data, how you protect your IP, right? There's another key thing that's changing in data. Finally, synthetic data, right? Synthetic data is completely changing the way that we test, we deliver, how we market to our clients, right? So all these things you need to think about. So what does this mean from an investment perspective? For years, as I said, we've been spending money as organizations on building data lakes, data lake houses. Many clients are still going through that journey, some have finished that journey. You're going to have to rethink that investment. You need to think about how you're actually going to pivot that capital investment into things that are going to enable and drive value. You need to shift from a cost center to value centric. To start thinking product mindset. You need to start thinking about how do you change your architecture to support, as I mentioned, unstructured data is now a first class citizen. How do you actually incorporate that into it? This also changes how data can impact your business. Now I'm using an example here, and this is we've obviously anonymized this, but this is something we're doing with clients, right? So the point I'm trying to make here is that you can take a GenAI model off the shelf from any of your partners, including AWS. You can ask it questions, and you'll get about, this is a real example, you get about 32% accuracy. This is a mining exploration example. But then if you use RAG techniques and you augment that with data specific, in this case geosciences data, you can uplift that accuracy to about 60%. But then if you then complement that with your enterprise data, your accuracy kind of jumps to over 80%, right? Now, it's not about accuracy, it's about the impact it has on your business. So in exploration, in mining exploration, that can be a year and a half, 2-year cycle to get the right exploration. You can cut that down to days instead of years, right? It's a big, big impact. So the point here is around data will make a real difference to how you use GenAI. So the question is then, how do you get ready for this, right? There's a lot of maturity models out there. What we have done is we've really looked at their maturity and changed the scale, right? So what we're looking at is we're saying, okay, most of you have been a journey around getting to foundation, getting data in the cloud, building a lake house or a data lake, getting your data in a curated form that you trust. What's the next layer you need to think about? So our view is you need to be thinking about, okay, that's table stakes, foundation you've got to. What do you need to do to reinvent your business and really truly leverage generative AI? So it's really about thinking about how do you actually use and move and shift your organization from experimentation to scaled AI and scaling with data and lifting the maturity, right? I have a much more detailed slide, but I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I just want to kind of call out, you've got to think about the 5 vectors I talked about earlier around capability across that maturity and needs to evolve around that. It doesn't mean you need to be reinvented for all 5. It can be a zigzag curve, but you've got to think about it from that perspective, right? Most organizations that I work with around the globe are in the foundational and some are kind of moving into the enhanced space, right? So what does this mean? So it's a scary thing for most organizations going, we spend millions of dollars building a data lake house, now you think I need to change it. And does that mean I stop my GenAI projects, and does that mean I delay everything for 2-3 years? So this is kind of the silver lining I'm talking about. This is what we're calling circular pathways. We're saying, you need to change your architecture to get ready for GenAI and deliver data differently for generative AI engines. But the real opportunity is to use generative AI to fast track your data pipelines, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about. So we call it circular pathways. Now, the metrics you're seeing up the top are based on our experience and what we're seeing with clients, right? Typically, most clients spend 50-60% of their capital on just getting data foundations. most of them spend their time, and their team spend time in wrangling the data. Very few have spent time actually augmenting with other forms of data. What we're finding is by applying this technique of circular pathways, you can drive the cost, the delivery times down by 2 to 3 times. You can deliver 2 to 3 times faster, right? You can bring in new sets of data and truly build a consumption experience for your AI engines and for your consumers and for your staff, right? Let me bring this to life. So if we think about what an typical data supply chain looks like, right? You capture, you create data, you consume the data. What I've got up there is showing you, what you're seeing is the black spots are really the areas you need to enhance in your data supply chain. But you'll see new things I've put in there. You think of similarity search, you need to think about knowledge graphs, you need to think about vector databases. All these things are new, right? New in the sense that when you're combining unstructured and structured data together, you need to bring all of this together into a knowledge graph, right? The green spots are where generative AI can help you fast track the development of these, right? So quickly moving on, so we've identified 42, what we call 42 generative AI interventions on the data supply chain or data platform, right? Now I won't bore you with all of these, but these are real. I'm doing this with our clients globally, right? For everywhere from the software development lifecycle through to running your data pipelines. Whether you're tagging data, classifying data, building out your metadata, automatically building your data products, right? I'm not even talking about shifting your mindset to data products, actually automatically building your data product pipelines, right? Monitoring and remediating your data pipelines. So on that, I'm going to pause the presentation. I'm very keen to get our panel up, and we're going to talk about some of this stuff in practice. So, may I invite the panel to come up, please?
I'm here, right?
Yes, you're there. Thank you.
Did you make it?
All right, as we get started, I'm going to ask a couple of questions to the panel. And as we get started, I'd love, as you answer the first question, if you could actually introduce yourselves. I know we mentioned your title, et cetera, but it'd be good for the audience to know who you are and what your role is, right? So the first question, and Melanie, I'm going to ask you this first question. There's a lot of hype around generative AI. Everyone's been talking about it for the last 18 months, from people using it for their own purposes to businesses using it. Be interested in your perspective of what do you think about the hype, and are you actually using generative AI in TPG, either as experimental or at scale?
Good morning, everyone. As was introduced, I'm Melanie van der Merwe. I'm responsible for the IT department in TPG Telecom. So yes, I think the hype in AI, I also had FOMO, fear of missing out, for a very long time. But I think we are stabilizing now, that we are getting to the point where there's so much literature available. It's not something, if we don't jump on the bus today, we're going to miss the bus. This bus is here to stay for a long time. So I think we've all calmed down now, it's going better. At TPG, we've made a deliberate decision not to be a fast adopter. We have decided to be a medium adopter and first have a look at fixing some of the basics in our company, such as our architecture, which a lot of it's still legacy, and some of our data aspects, which I'm sure I'll be able to share as we go forward.
Awesome, thank you. Ram, same question for you.
So look, I don't really think that this is hype at all, and it's been just the natural evolution of technology. And we've seen other hypes like blockchain and cryptocurrencies, etc. as well, which are still somewhere in the mix, but not completely died out. For myself personally, as a technologist, I see GenAI, generative artificial intelligence, as just the natural evolution of automation, hyper-automation, and then coming on from there. By the way of introduction, I'm Ram, the Digital Operations Director at Line. I look after everything technology, from I spill coffee on my laptop to developing large language models in the data platform. And we sort of in the middle of embracing generative AI, I would say. Pretty similar to what Melanie had mentioned as well. We've taken a bit of a cautious approach, but we are not standing still. we wanted to explore the world of what GenAI has to offer, and Accenture as our partner, a technology partner, runs technology end-to-end from service desk to application management, infrastructure management, application delivery, etc. So they rightfully got in their Gen Wizard tool, which is Accenture's proprietary tool, and Line was Accenture's first global account to, globally the first account to actually embrace the Gen Wizard platform. And what we did with it is start small. So we started with a couple of technology operational use cases, and basically try and learn how it works. And fortunately, it worked really well for us. And we do have plans to further adopt GenAI across the technology operation spectrum, and then potentially start, as we become a bit more mature, then potentially start rolling it out to the business use cases as well. We've already started doing a bit of business use cases, but we haven't dropped everything and started working on GenAI. We're also taking a cautious approach there.
Thank you, Ram. Jen, quick introduction and your perspective as well.
Of course. I'm Jen Jackson. I run our relationship with AWS globally. And I don't think it's hype anymore. I think the hype phase is over, although I think we all had our reservations. The way Accenture is actually using GenAI to service our customers is in about 3 main areas right now, and I would say the first is around how we do customer care. And with AWS, we actually build a product called CCE. It's our customer experience platform. And many of you may not know that Accenture is one of the largest providers of call center agents and technology in the world. And infusing GenAI into how we service clients and their customers has been a large part of how we've grown GenAI, and that includes transforming the agent experience, call, documentation, has all been already done, is in practice already. I would say the other is through Gen Wizard, which you talked about, Ram, and I think both enabling our developers, and we're seeing explosive results in what GenAI is doing with developer productivity on behalf of our clients. And the last is how we service operations for our clients around IT operations, especially service desk, looking at events around infrastructure and how we correlate those and use GenAI to solve incidents more quickly is the third large way that we're using GenAI today in our business.
Excellent. Thank you, Jen. Malani, question for you. I know TPG is going through a journey around reinventing its data strategy. Would be great for the audience and us to understand what's the journey you're taking, what's the business objectives you're looking at, and also curious, are you looking beyond structured data, as I mentioned in my presentation?
Good. Yes. Luckily, I have very clever architects in IT, and towards the middle to the end of last year, we realized to go down this AI journey, we're going to have to look at our data estate, especially when we're going to touch our customer, because touching our internal employee with AI, yes, we could probably fail, or we could get the tool to hallucinate a bit, because we could fix it, but not with our customer. We have one chance. So we went down a journey of a sourcing RFP, looking at our complete estate. We realized our estate was disparate. We had data sitting everywhere. Our data definitions are not aligned. Even the word customer means something different in many areas. So with the RFP, we're going to be very strict on our data governance, one set of data rules so that ourselves and GenAI understand what does the definition mean. I think it's critical. Without that, you're probably going to drive a lot of friction in your business. We're also looking at absorbing structured, unstructured data, even video, voice data. We run a network. We take a lot of network data in, so there's opportunity for us there. And then, of course, looking at your mesh architecture and your data lake and just becoming more flexible and structured. So yes, synthetic data has obviously got a lot of advantages for us. Not only when you absorb the data, you could simulate the data, you could, I think, predict a lot of use cases for the customers, and do that. But even in our own IT organization, using synthetic data to look at an activity like data migration gives us new opportunity. We could now simulate data, and actually we don't need to test with live production data. We could simulate the data and we could do a number of runs which in the past was not available to us. Even in our testing environment, we could look at different test cases using different sets of data and inject what we think is going to happen there. So definitely an exciting journey. We hopefully will start very shortly on that journey. The last thing that I just wanted to say, and you also presented it here, I think it's critical for us to be clear on our data products in future. If we're not going to be clear what is that data product and how are we going to architect that, we are going to drive even more confusion.
And it's interesting, data products can be quite a religious discussion as well, because people have views on what a data product is, what is data as a product.
Of course.
And there's a lot of discussion around that. It's probably another topic, I won't go into it for now. Ram, you mentioned that you're already using GenAI in your operations. Curious to understand the business angle from your perspective. Are you seeing any gains or benefits flow through, either in metric-wise or from an experience perspective?
Yeah, 100%. So there are three main use cases that we've implemented in the last year or so with the GenVisit platform, pretty similar to what Jen was mentioning as well. We've started with GenAI actually picking or answering our calls, priority calls. So if someone in a brewery somewhere in far north Queensland calls up saying my production lines have stopped, the GenAI picks up the call, understands what the user is saying, starts up a priority incident bridge, gets the relevant people included into the bridge, creates a ticket, uploads all the known root causes for that particular problem, and uploads all relevant artifacts to get the problem resolved as well. And this whole process used to take at least 25 to 30 minutes, and now it just takes a few seconds. So you call up the help desk, GenAI creates the incident and does all of the work that was previously done by a resource sitting in Manila and taking 20 to 25 to 30 minutes. So that's our first use case, and we've seen the mean time to resolve for incidents, priority incidents, drop down by 55% after implementing this. So that's been a metric that we've observed over the last 6 months or so after implementation, and compared to previously when it was done manually. The other part where we've implemented GenAI is basically being a Japanese control company. We have JSOX obligations,
yep.
And we do a lot of auditing and reporting, and from a technology perspective, and we've implemented the GenVisit tool to actually consolidate all of that auditing and reporting that was being done manually, and which used to take days, now takes a few minutes. So all of that gets generated, and now all we have to do is just review the report and then submit it. And the third area is obviously, not obviously, but self-service for our business customers. We saw that a lot of priority 3, priority 4 incidents, which is like, how do I do this and how do I do that sort of incidents, were taking a long time for us to get to because we had other priority issues to resolve. And that obviously created a bit of angst within the business, because if you're not getting the response to your query, how do I create a purchase order, or how do I create a purchase requisitions, for example, immediately it can impact the business as well as create a bit of bad press for technology as well. So now with the implementation of GenVisit, which also integrates with Microsoft Teams and ServiceNow, all the articles, knowledge articles are preloaded, and all the data, unstructured and structured data, is already there. The business user just goes into the Teams chatbot and says, how do I create a purchase order? And it produces a list of step-by-step procedures that the business user needs to perform. And this is across the value chain, the business value chain, that we've implemented that. And we continue to refine those knowledge articles and trying to make it better as we go. If you ask a question and it doesn't come up with a hit, the system knows that and reports it, and we basically then ensure that next time someone asks the same question, there is something behind it as well.
Just a follow-up question for you. In all the use cases you mentioned, data seemed to be a key component, right? Was that a key driver, and did you have to lift your maturity to be able to deliver these use cases?
Yeah, 100%. Look, even unstructured data, or structured, I don't think we had any maturity previously. And looking at your slides, we probably are somewhere between foundational and the next one.
Enhanced.
And yeah, enhancing. And we do have aspirations to improve our data maturity model. We have a full-fledged data governance and maturity team that is working on it at the moment. And the more I see the benefits out of the use cases that we have implemented, I have literally no doubt that data is going to be the currency as organizations start adopting GenAI, because it's garbage in, garbage out. And the more information that you provide it structurally or unstructurally, it's going to give you better results as well. We will see obviously organizations like SAP, Microsoft, AWS provide more and more opportunities for organizations to embrace GenAI with their platforms, with their products inbuilt, and that would be the foundation of that will have to be right data in the platforms. So.
Jen, I'm going to go over to you. Different perspective, right? You run our business group, AWS business group. What are you seeing from your clients, right? Everybody obviously is talking about generative AI, but are you seeing them come to you around data? And how are you actually helping the clients think through their data journey to get ready for GenAI?
Well, I believe that the hype of GenAI is having a lot of our clients talk to us about how do I do a POC? What can I start to do to show some progress in this space? So we do help a lot of our clients with model choice, right? Recently, we actually put out an announcement around our partnership with Anthropic and AWS around helping clients understand how to better fine-tune models, how to select the right models. And I think that's been very good and generated a lot of excitement. But it brings then to bear data. And as much as we love these POCs, to scale those POCs, you've got to go back to basics, and a little bit how you started off. And our clients are actually showing more demand to us to start talking about, do they have the right data architecture in place? Do you have a data strategy? How are you managing structured and unstructured? Data modernization. And many clients still have data in many different facilities out there that we're helping to manage for them. And lastly, responsible AI. I think huge demand for discussions, thoughtful discussions about how are you using data, what is it being used for, are you removing bias, I think has all been very key. So I think, if I look full circle to the circular pathways, I think, a lot more demand for GenAI, but at the core really rooted in how do you manage data.
Right, thank you. We've been giving a wrap up, so I'm going to pause there. I did have a lot more questions, but I'm going to pause there. I'm just going to leave you guys with one of the things, right? It can be quite daunting trying to think about how do you lift your maturity. So we've created a punch list. There's 12 things we recommend you do. I'll be around the rest of the day at our booth. Sudesh will be as well. Please reach out to us. I'll leave you with this very quick slide on things to think about. Again, we've kind of put it across the 5 capabilities you should be thinking about. Architecture, security, governance. Economic model is really, really important. I'd encourage you to think about that because your cost can outrun the benefit very quickly, so you need to really think about that. I'll pause there. I'm going to hand over back to the team. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, panels.
That was awesome. Thanks, Team Accenture. All right. Thanks all for staying with us for this super interesting talk with lots of insights. If everybody could be so kind and use the app, the Summit app on your phone to give us some feedback as well, that would be fantastic. The QR code is on the screen. The next session, we're actually going to dive a little bit deeper on that data part, on the data platform. So we get one of our senior speakers on stage, Mary Law, who's going to go all into that. See you here in about 10 minutes. Thanks all.